Welcome back inside the Now Morning Show. We continue to discuss Code 727, which airs this evening on TTT at 7:30 p.m. It's a TTPS 1990 memoir, and it's going to be live tonight. But this morning, I have with me retired Inspector Cecil Tony and retired Sergeant Julian Lucian Elder. They join me on set as, representatives of the TTPS, but also gentlemen who were present on July 27, 1990. Good morning and welcome to the show.
Morning.
Morning to you too.
How are we doing this morning?
I'm fine.
I'm peaceful.
How does this day feel, like in general, on a yearly basis when July 27 comes around?
Well, for me, other years that passed by, wasn't here nor there. But this morning, knowing that I'm coming here, just have a feeling to go back into remembrance of that day. Not too easy, but I think I'm strong enough to be here.
And I appreciate you coming in spite of the feeling. I appreciate you being here. How about you, Mr. Tony?
Well, every time I hear the date, July 27th, it does something to me. And whenever I hear the numbers 1990, it always has an effect on me. But I'm okay.
Have either of you been able to I guess professionally deal with the effects that would have come as a result of being present for 1990?
Well, I for one, I dealt with my situation comical.
You just kind of laugh it off?
Yeah, comical, because at that time I make jokes about everything. My whole incident relevant what took place with me at headquarters, I turned it into laughter.
Tell me a little bit about it. Where were you on July 27, 1990?
Well, I was located at the canteen. We was having a pan shootout. It was by the canteen. I came out the door, and the two women police there, Sharman and Crawford, they were selling chicken foot sauce. So I say, give me one of them things, they with the foot walking out of the cup. So they start to laugh. I get my thing and they start to get down into the sauce. And I heard the two gunshots. Pow! Pow! So I look down and I say, I'm talking to myself. I say, don't tell me a police shoot your wife and yourself again. My stupidness there. And then it was the loud explosion after that. And I saw people running all about. Well, I didn't even know where the chicken foot sauce went, but I know I no longer had it. And started to look for cover because right after that, there were rapid gunfire. So it was...
Where were you, Mr. Tony?
Well, I was at home. I was preparing to leave to go to Port of Spain to report for duty. And I heard the news from neighbors that, well, in local parlance, Abu Bakr take over. But I had to report for duty.
And you were stationed where?
Special branch.
Right.
So I left home, bought in a maxi taxi from Lahore, Qatar, and the maxi taxi alighted on, well, in those days, the maxi hub was at Broadway.
Right.
So as I alighted from the maxi, about 40 persons were trying to get into the maxi. So I realized that Tong was in a mess. So I got as far as the old fire station building. And when I got there, I saw police officers, some of them gathered around. And there and then I knew that I was not effective because I didn't know where the enemy was, and shots were flying all over. So I decided to make my way home. So I walked down Frederick Street, going to take a maxi to return home. And then I saw someone who I recognized, Anthony Smart. So I walked up to him, identified myself, and he said he wanted $3 to go to Trin City. I said, well, because he would have discarded his jacket, So I told him I will pay the fare for him, and we boarded the maxi, and I took him to my home. On reaching to my home now, he asked for a lift to go to Trin City. So I organized a lift for him to that area, and I dropped him off on the roadway, and he disappeared into the night. I mean, the next I heard of him, he was at Camp Ogden, safe and secure. So that basically was my role.
And so I want to come back to you, Mr. Elder. You You said you had to take cover after you hear the shots, the explosion, everything happened, and you took cover. What was the next step?
Well, to secure oneself, because I had no arms and ammunition. I wasn't prepared to fight back. So getting there's where they call holy ground, which is normally the officers' mess.
All right.
So I was trying to get through there, get out on St. Vincent Street and head for wherever I think it's safe. So while I was going through there, bullets was coming through the shutters. So I get on the floor, snake my way back to the officers' mess by the toilet area where I met two seniors who had guns. And they asked me, son, what's happening out there? I said, what the hell you asking what's happening out there? They're shooting. He asked me what's happening out there. And then we get through, got back to the back of the canteen, tried to get off on Edward Street side. And that's where I get out thing. I climb up on the building that the woman police is to change their clothes, climb up on that. And then I reach to the top of the wall. I say, Lord Father, if I fall in from here, if I jump in, whatever I'm doing, don't break everything. But that was it.
When you went up that wall, what was the view like?
No, I'm watching down London Street now, looking to get down to Rising Road.
Okay,
But the shooting is to the back of me. But you're hearing all the gunshots, so it's to get out. And then I saw them fighting to open the gate. We had a big back gate there on that side. And the guy came up, shut at the gate, they locked like a dance. So I said, well, I'm not waiting in here, And I jumped down. When I jumped to the ground, I met, I looked back and I saw one of the officers, Mr. Marcel. He was lying on the ground, head first. So I went back to his assistance, took him up, and then there was a dead horse coming, stopped the fella, run out in the road, stopped the fella, and we put him in the back of the horse and took him to the Port of Spain General Hospital, a next guy and myself. And I spent about 9 days at the hospital, secured the room, and all who got injured at that time. I was both a male nurse, the police, everything, man, at that period of time.
At that point
that
in time.
People start coming in and
I mean, I imagine the hospital would have been a frenzy.
It was madness there.
Yeah.
One thing one guys always said, I couldn't remember the doctor name. There was an African doctor, and he was, he talking the language. You all are running all over the place. Coup happen in Africa all the time. And and he told me, he said, do your hand like this. So when I stretched out my hand, he said, your hand is steady. I want you not to fall asleep with me, because those was always after people coming in. He gave some kind of tablet to me to drink and to keep me up. So I did my part. There was a lot of officers who came in, who injured, who was looting. One came with a cut across her breast, straight down to her leg.
From Luton?
Yeah, she was good. But I said, well, you went to get this injury standards. It was some piece of glass just. Yes, I don't know if she's still alive or not. But it was, for me, it was hectic. Especially the thing I learned a lot too.
Yeah.
I was, after, you could leave the police work and come and be a nurse, because I learned how to tie the bed sheet for you not to get bed sores, how to lie down, how to do. I learned a lot of things with a few who were strong enough.
Yeah.
They were not cowards. They just thing. And we were hearing gunshot all night long around Belmont, so I was just there. I had this little pistol that I took from Mr. Marcel Weiss, and that was my only form of security as far as arms and ammunition was concerned.
Yeah. Mr. Tony, you said when you got to Port of Spain, you felt as though you weren't going to be effective in this situation. Tell me a little bit more about why you felt that way, because you got there as a police officer, and you would have seen all the commotion taking place. You saw other police officers gathering, I guess, making a plan or wondering what was going on, but you still felt as though you would have been not effective.
Yeah, because the area that I was supposed to report for duty was on fire. That's police headquarters. And going to CPS, that Central Police Station, or Besort Street would have been risky. Because, I was in plain clothes, of course. I could have been mistaken for anybody. So I thought it best to try and get home. And actually, I must add, as I was walking down Frederick Street, the looting had started. They started to loot Marriage Jewelers.
Right.
So I said, hey, boy, gold boy, but I don't like jewelry, and that is not me.
I love that the impetus is that you don't like jewelry. That stealing is wrong. That looting is wrong.
I said, God is watching you. God is watching you. Try and get home. So, and then I saw Mr. Smart, walking kind of aimlessly, out of sorts kind of way.
I want to find out after after everything passed over, a few days after, when we took back control of the country and all that, but what was the next step for the TTPS or for members of the TTPS? Just report to work like normal, or?
Yeah, well.
In some cases, because like I remain the bodyguard for the ACP, Mr. Marcel.
Right.
He was injured, both his hands were fractured and thing. He had problem, he had fractured skull, couldn't hear. And I became his male nurse and bodyguard for him.
Right.
And I did that to the end of 1990. Yeah. And even I used to give him a joke. I said, so look at that. Just 2 weeks ago, I applied for a canteen loan, and you blanked me. And look where it is now that I am here, seeing about you right through. But one of the greatest things that police officers do, a lot of us don't pay respect to that star on that hat. It's a serious piece of protection for us.
How so?
It manifests itself like that because you've been trained and to respect your hat. Like if I was to go take a drink of alcohol, the first thing I'm going to remove is the hat. So what's the reason for removing the hat? Because of a form of respect. And the Star of David that is on that hat is that carries through a lot of things that a lot of young police now don't even know, but nobody tells them about it. In we days, I joined the work in 1st of June 1977, and those was rough days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and in those days, did you ever think that you'd have to prepare for something like that?
No, Trinidad, they have no thing. Everything was a 10 days here.
Yeah.
Every noise that's happening in this country was 10 days. 10 days after. Even right up to present, 10 days. Just the other day, we were making noise about this, that, the other. Look, Jack and the partner, they back 10 days. We don't forget that. 10 days, everything is 10 days.
Did you see anything at all that would have hinted that things were a little different or things were reaching to a different kind of peak? I know you said the 10 days, right? But was there the 10 days before? Was there noise happening?
No. Well, from we as ground floor members, constables, and that would not be our call.
Well, there was unrest. The period 86 to 90, there was a lot of unrest in the country. Teachers were marching, nurses, public servants. And there was unease in the country. I was not really surprised that it took place, but I just didn't have the day, just didn't know when. But you could have feel the tension in the air, because the narrow government at the time became a bit unpopular. So I felt it, but the day I just couldn't see when.
If you had to talk to the younger police officers now and give them a piece of advice in order to be prepared for anything that might come, what would you tell them? Let's start with you, Mr. Elder.
That this is a serious work, it's not a joke thing. When you leave your home in the morning, those who pray or who don't pray, when you leave home in the morning and say prayers and you stepped out to know that you're heading to work, first thing is to come to my mind, hey, I have 3 young siblings here, 2 boys and a girl, a wife, whatever. It has no surety that I'm going to return back home to them. And that was outside the coup period.
Yeah.
But when you leave home on a daily basis as a police officer, because you are coming out here to put life on limb, to safeguard whatever duty that you may have to do. You're walking down 7th Street and there's a robbery. 95% of the time in those days, all police officers was not armed.
Yeah, a battle for the most.
A battle, but the gun is for the senior man and the battle is for the junior person.
Yeah.
But if you're walking on your individual and somebody know you too, and they got, officer, look, something happened there, and you walk away from that. When you report come back to the next time, then you was a police because you didn't take whatever action, because you come like a Superman, As somebody call you as a police officer, you must be able to respond. Must be able to respond at all times, don't care what the situation is.
Mr. Tony?
I would say find a way to get your neighbors and the citizens in general to talk to you at any time, to not be afraid to approach you.
Yeah.
So your networking skills have to be
on point. How do you guys feel about the documentary after all these years? They come to you and they say, tell me a story. We're going to record it.
Well, I want to publicly apologize to Mr. Allen and the other 2 guys that came to my home the first time. When they reached there, they said to them, well, they couldn't find out about what happened in the coup, you doing the coup in 1990 and thing. I said 32 years, and no come to ask me stupidness. But look come to my place, and they was offended to a point too, but they were cool. And then I have a son that is in the army, and he said, Daddy, don't kill the messenger, wait and hear what they have to say and thing. And I called them back, I think about 2 days after, and I decided to come where they were doing the shooting. I decided to come and have it done.
Do you feel that you made the right decision?
Yeah, because this here now that the younger police officers who hadn't a clue, even members of the public, didn't know what to do because everybody believed that all the police ran.
Yeah.
But then what am I supposed to do with gunshots? I have nothing to shoot back. I had nothing to defend myself.
That's your battle behind them.
Yeah, no battle. As I said, that was a pleasant Friday evening that started and turned out into madness.
Yeah.
We had football at the stadium. They had all fours at the Special Reserve Police place and the headquarters with the pan shootout. Now, usually on a Friday, the whole of St. Vincent Street, we come out and sit down against the wall there to girls watching. Who coming up from the Red House, who coming down from where. And thank God
enjoying the view.
That evening, most boys wasn't outside.
All right, I hear that. How you feel about the documentary after all these years?
I'm happy that it was, well, I want to thank Mr. Allen publicly, but Mr. Smart was allowed to tell his story. So I wanted to be part of history. So I'm happy that the TTPS, did the documentary.
Gentlemen, I want to thank you very much for your service and, of course, for telling your story as well. And we look forward to hearing the full thing this evening at 7:30 p.m. Code 727 is airing right here on TTT, a TTPS 1990 memoir. So you can definitely take part and tune in at 7:30 p.m. Thank you so much, Cecil, Tony.
Yes,
thank you so much, Julian, Lucy, and Elder.
Thank you.
Appreciate you guys coming on this morning.
Thank you.
Guys, we take a quick break and come back with more on our morning show. Stick around.
Strange dogs were barking.